I think it's been a tyranny of about 25 years of trying to get the refining business to leave California. They've been putting in regulations and bureaucracy and taxes and programs to push us out of the state.
They don't govern for results. They don't say, hey, I need to govern for a narrative. Anything shoplifted under $1,000, we don't need to arrest you for that. We don't need cash bail. Okay, we don't need to arrest criminals. We want this green utopia.
Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass have already proven their incompetence and poor leadership during the Los Angeles wildfires. California's in a state of turmoil, and I ask my fellow Angelenos, why are Gavin Newsom and Karen Bass still in office?
California, once the golden state of opportunity and economic power, is now watching major corporations quietly head for the exits, and reports suggest Governor Gavin Newsom is scrambling as the consequences set in. This shift didn't come out of nowhere. Critics have warned for years that aggressive policies would drive businesses away, and now those warnings are becoming reality. Few examples illustrate this better than California's collapse in oil production, a state that once produced about 13% of the nation's oil, supporting countless jobs and massive revenue, now contributes barely 2%. This wasn't a natural decline, but the result of decades of deliberate policy choices aimed at pushing the fossil fuel industry out. And today, California is facing the economic fallout of those decisions head-on.
I think it's been a tyranny of about 25 years of trying to get the refining business to leave California. They've been putting in regulations and bureaucracy and taxes and programs to push us out of the state.
California has spent years, really decades, going after the fossil fuel business in the name of environmentalism. And it's a lie. Saying it was planning the state a clean energy future when it was all a con. The result, refinery closures. That's in the last 30 some odd years. An industry exodus, and of course, skyrocketing prices. And now the chickens are coming home to roost.
Supporters of Gavin Newsom will argue this was all part of bold green vision, portraying California as a leader in the race toward a clean energy future. And on the surface, it sounds noble and progressive, but the reality is far less flattering. While state leaders celebrated pushing oil companies out, California never stopped needing oil. Cars still drive, planes still fly, and industries still demand energy. Instead of producing it locally, the state now imports roughly half of its crude oil from countries like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Brazil. The irony is staggering. Shipping that oil halfway around the world has increased CO2 emissions due to tanker pollution, meaning California's environmental policies have actually made pollution worse, not better. This is what happens when governance prioritizes political narratives over real-world results, when looking virtuous matters more than achieving meaningful outcomes.
California has to import half of the crude that it's still able to refine in the state from places like Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and Brazil. And the CO2 emissions, the smog and pollution from the tankers that have to ship it in has caused emissions to go up and pollution to go up. So it's actually damaging human health in California because they've tried to phase out fossil fuels.
But the fallout doesn't stop with oil. California under Gavin Newsom has become a warning sign across multiple fronts, especially when it comes to public safety and quality of life. Under the label of criminal justice reform, shoplifting under $1,000 is treated lightly. Cash bail has been eliminated, and repeat offenders cycle through the system with little consequence, while small business owners watch their stores looted and their livelihoods destroyed. At the same time, homeless encampments have overtaken streets and parks, turning once thriving neighborhoods into scenes of disorder. The cost of these policies isn't borne by politicians in gated communities or celebrities in luxury estates. It's paid by everyday Californians, working families struggling to get by, business owners seeing years of hard work collapse, and parents increasingly worried about their children's safety in neighborhoods that feel less secure by the day.
My dad lived in California for a long time, and he used to say, like, the crazy people in this country just keep moving west, and like it just stops in California because they'll fall in the ocean if they keep going any further. And like there couldn't be a truer statement in the world. And these politicians, they don't govern for results. They don't say, hey, what's worked really well in the past, and let's try to make it work really well here. In California, it's I need to govern for a narrative. I need there to be anything shoplifted under $1,000. We don't need to arrest you for that. We don't need cash bail. Okay, we don't need to arrest criminals. We want this green utopia. And like what happens with that is you go from 2%. You start at 13% of the U.S. oil production in the U.S. Now we're down to 2%.